Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. She is somebody that helps us heal. And if you say, well, I don't have any injuries, I don't have to heal. Yes, you do. You have emotional healing to do. And we all have it. It's in us. Whether you want to realize it, admit it or not, that's probably what is holding you back from moving your life forward. Uh, by being joyous in life and enjoying everything that should be coming to you. She's also an amazing spiritual life coach, a shamanic and Reiki practitioner. She's also a registered nurse. She's got the cred. And we're going to learn the journey of her and someone else today. Danielle Marie White joins us here on the program. How you doing?
Wonderful. How are you doing today?
Very well, very well. Um, I've experienced your healing, and it was wonderful. And I'm really really super fascinated and interested to learn on how you supported somebody else. Who joins us today?
This is Brian, and he is here to share his story with us today.
Awesome. Before we begin, I have to point out the hoodie that he has on and the three words, you are enough is everything. And there's a period at the end of those three words, as there should be, because that's it. And I was just texting that with somebody earlier this morning, and go deeper into that, Danielle, before we even begin about Brian's story. That many of us feel we're not enough somewhere along
Yes,
the way, right?
yes. We've picked it up from people who have shared their feelings or beliefs with us. We measure ourselves, compare ourselves, and we're not meant to. We're all unique. No single person is special. We're all special together.
Hmm. And is it true that you could have one situation in your childhood that, if I went hypothetical, you did a painting and maybe mom critiqued your painting at 7 years old, and that one little episode could have planted the seed in your little mind that grew as an
Yes,
adult where you felt, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Not
yes,
just painting and art,
yes.
but in other areas of my life.
Yes. And you pick that up from friends, family, just instances. I mean, anytime that you encounter
Yeah.
criticism, if we don't know how to approach that or take that criticism and make it constructive, we embody that inside of us and think that we're not enough. And another thing is the enoughness. That's our birthright. And we learn to believe, choose to believe. The frontal cortex doesn't fully form until you're in your early 20s. And as a child, those get embedded and they become your beliefs, your core beliefs, which can impact your whole life.
Mm.
And
I need
especially in
I need that hoodie. I need to rock
relationships.
that hoodie. I'm like, I need that. I'm
Mhm.
because
Well, you need the back's
Yes.
got even better message on it. I
what's it say?
don't know if we can get it in there.
Sure, please. Uh,
Dear person behind me, the world is a better place with you in it. Love
wow.
the person in front of you.
Wow.
And if we could take just another moment, would
Please.
you like to share your t-shirt?
Yeah.
I,
Absolutely
I
amazing.
hate taking off a hoodie when you have a t-shirt on because it's like not easy. But this those three words, you are enough. Like
Mhm.
what a statement that makes for somebody.
And see, and that's the t-shirt.
Yeah, and there you go. And that's just what we started talking about. And for those listening, not all wounds are visible. That's what we're talking about today in terms
Mhm.
of the trauma. Um,
PTSD awareness. In this family, no one fights alone.
we could end the podcast right here.
Yep.
The message that comes through with that is powerful. Um, Brian, can you tell us why you connected with Danielle?
Well, it's a chance meeting or a destined meeting. Um, we were in Walmart, both on the fishing aisle, and there was just a strength that just pulled me over just to introduce myself and start talking. And that's kind of where all of this ended up, how we got where we are.
Wow. There are no
People are brought
coincidences.
together. Yeah, people are brought together for a reason, a
Yeah.
time and a season,
Yep. Yep.
and we are where we are now.
Can you share? I want to be there in the fishing aisle. What,
Well,
what was that conversation like? Like, how did it even just come up?
she, to me, she looked like she was looking for something she couldn't find. And I just asked her what she was looking for. And she said, well, I'm new to the area and not sure what I need, where I need to go. And then we started talking about, immediately started talking about a river that's nearby.
Mm,
And I told her it was a place that I love to go just to be. And I take the boat on the river. And she said she liked to hike it. And I said, well, it's open public land. Hike it all you want. And there's plenty of places to stop and fish along the way.
mm.
And that's kind of how it all just started.
Well, I'm going to interject here that Brian, you were looking for something that you couldn't find.
Yep,
Yeah.
100%. It was, I was at a point in my life where things were changing. The last 6 or 7 years, especially, has been a lot. Um, and like I said, there's a reason and a season. And as soon as we started talking, I knew she was a person that could help me get through where I needed to get. And there's still a lot of work for me to do, a lot. But 2018, I was diagnosed with complex PTSD. I was a paramedic for the county for 17 years. I was a volunteer fireman for 20 and grew up on a farm. So I've always helped people. And the day they wrote me out of work, I lost a whole life that I had. And we started working on pulling that apart.
Hmm.
And there's a saying that says, I can't unsee what I've seen. And it rings true for so many people. And there's a way to heal from that. It's a lot of work. And it affects a lot of people that are in your circle more than you know. But that's
Hmm.
kind of where we're working at now. And I stumbled onto a group on Facebook that sells these shirts and these sweatshirts.
Oh,
And every shirt has a message of strength for your neighbor and standing together. And I was immediately called just to order some and start wearing. And the reaction from the public in stores is amazing. We all need the reminder. We're not alone. And
wow.
everybody has had a moment in their life where they've chosen to move forward rather than to give up.
And
So
your journey with Danielle, how long ago did that start? When you guys meet?
3 years ago. Yep.
Mhm.
Been 3 years.
Wow.
Yep. And I've had Monday was my fourth session, and Monday was the one that I truly decided to let go, that it was time to sever the ties, cut the cords, and let the energies and the spirits do what they want to do with me. And it was a big session.
Hmm.
A lot happened in that session.
Now, your PTSD came from, your job. You said paramedic, right?
Yes, sir.
And my best friend is a paramedic, so I get it in some regards. I don't live your life. I don't live his, but I see. And then that job ended after many years? And is that where the shift came for you?
Yeah, I mean, you lose a whole family.
Oh, I get it.
I mean, you're there 24 hours a day with your second family. And when they take you from that, you're literally just kind of yanked away from part of your life. And you're stuck with, well, now what do I do? And, you know, it brings a lot. And you start working through it with therapists, and they start bringing out memories, and you can't fully process them. And believe it or not, I've been one of those people that have always had like gut feelings and intuition.
Yep.
And sometimes you listen, sometimes you don't. I chose to listen one day, and that's why I'm still here. Um, the clinic that I was receiving help with the therapist. The day before, I felt a gut feeling and said, I don't need to go. We were working with EMDR and dredging up a lot of stuff. And I called her, and she had a farm background also. And I said, look, we're doing some work with a horse. I want to be here. And something else tells me I don't need to be in the office tomorrow at 10. She said, okay, I need some work. I need to do some work in the front office. That office was in Durham. At 10:30, it blew up. And since we were not in session, she was in the front office and not really hurt. Everybody got out okay. But my session, I sat beside the gas main that exploded. So that opened up a huge wound for me that was open for a while, which caused a lot of anger, a lot of hate, and not understanding why. And I went through a pretty rough mental state for about a month and a half, 2 months. I actually left home and went to stay with a friend in Maine, um, and sorted out a lot of stuff. But that's when I realized I had to find something more on a deeper level for help. And then that's where Danielle comes in. When
Wow.
you start when you start cutting the ties, you can actually live free.
I get that part. Because board cutting was part of my session with Danielle as well. Um, Need another one. But anyway, it seems too, I would imagine, and I'm right, Brian, I'm right there with you with the gut feeling and all of that. We could do all of us could do, 5 podcasts on that alone. When I think back to all the times I ignored my gut feeling, and I see them like
Mhm.
25 years back. I'm right there right now. What I was doing when I said, I mean, no, I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
And I knew it wasn't right, but I
Mhm.
And you try
just
to make it right.
Yeah.
right. And then sometimes you're also in a situation where you're deep into the situation where, and who likes change? We all fear it. So it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's not going to be that bad. I know it's all right in your mind, but it's that's where the courage comes in to talk to somebody like Danielle. Before I forget this, music pops in my head all the time. I've been playing music on the radio since I was a kid, like professionally.
Yep.
I won't tell you how many decades, but anyway,
Yeah.
um,
Just a couple.
just a few. Um, you said you can't unsee certain things,
Yep.
right? One of the first, there's no coincidences. One of the first songs I ever played on the radio was Doctor My Eyes by Jackson Brown. I
Oh,
don't know if you're
yes.
familiar with it.
Yes.
And I just called up the lyrics. And can I share just a little bit? Because I think we
Mhm.
all deal with things we've seen, but we can't unsee. Doctor My Eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without crying. Now I'm going to go into the chorus. Doctor My Eyes, tell me what is wrong. Was I unwise to leave them open for so long? If you look at the lyrics, I mean, it's everything that you brought up, Brian, that we deal with. Where like I want to unsee that. Like, why did I have to deal with that? And now you want to see the good in people, you want to see good in situations, but your doctor is Danielle in a lot of regards, now that I think about it. Yeah. So you've had how many sessions with her? You said, did you say four?
I've had four. Yes.
Wow. Do you feel progressively different, better
Yes.
along the way?
Oh, it's 100%. And the first three, the first session, I didn't know what to expect. Um, I'd never had anything like that done.
Hmm.
And when I left the first session, I was like, wow, now that's interesting that she knew and could feel X, Y, and Z and could explain why I've been doing some of the things I've been doing. And we're all human, so you fall right back into the same routines and you're still stuck in the same situation that you've been in. And to change, you have to commit to that. And each session got me more intrigued about how much more there was to cleanse or how much more was holding me back. And after one of the sessions, Danielle looked at me and she said, will you get in the water? Because I had shared before that water is where I find my peace. Whether I'm in it, on it,
Mm,
fishing, floating, whatever, it's
yeah,
where I get my vibe and closeness to earth.
I'm right there with you. I
And
really am.
um, and she looked at me and she goes, will you get in the water? I'm like, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. She goes, it's time for you to be reborn. And I was kind of taken back. I was like, well, what do you mean? And she said, it's just time for you to let go and be reborn. And we did that. And there was a change for me, but you're still stuck in your head. So there's a lot of work you have to do on your own with
Mhm.
this. And our last session, I finally committed to just cutting the cords, opening up, take it all away. And she told me that I would be sore, and she told me that there would be things that usually hurt, that won't hurt, and things that will hurt that do not usually. She wasn't wrong,
Mm.
but we cut a lot out of me that day, and I can feel it. I walk lighter. I don't think about things the way I did. I see that there's a bigger purpose for everybody. And it's just accepting you can't move a mountain by yourself, but when everybody comes together, you can move a lot. And it's just seeing the good in people and wanting to help those that need to start a journey. Who doesn't like a journey?
And who likes to do that journey alone? Some of them are
Right.
okay. I get that. But we all knowing that you have somebody's hand to hold to walk that journey. And the water thing, in 20 seconds, I want to share just to illustrate this energy thing, how it all works. Before I met Danielle, this is probably 3 years ago, I had a long distance Reiki session. I didn't even see the practitioner. Met her once, on a Zoom real quick. And then she just texts me, we set it up. She goes, all right, well, be in a comfortable spot, 8 p.m., then I'll start. I'm like, okay. And she goes, and I'll text you when I'm done, about 45 minutes later, and then we'll go from there. So I did. I got real comfortable, felt something from my head to my feet to my head again. I've tried to get out of my head because I thought that I know she's doing something 1,500 miles away, but I don't want it to, but I was feeling something. 8:50 p.m., she sends me a text and she says, I don't know what this is, but I got to share it with you. You had me in a little boat and we were looking at the reeds and the weeds and looking like in little thing critters crawling in the water. And she's like, I don't know what that is, but I figured I had to share it with you. And what she was tapping into through my energy was I love kayaking. I love kayaking, especially on salt water. And I go through the reeds and the weeds and the marshes and everything. And I love just floating there and just looking in even shallow water, just looking at little things crawling around. There's no way she would have known that unless she tapped into something within me. She can go on Facebook and see, I don't post that kind of stuff. So, and why did that come back? I believe she found my Zen. That's my Zen, my peace is when I
That's right.
kayak. And I'm bringing that up because I can, Brian, I can totally relate to what you're saying right there. That's how I feel I connect. I'm grounded. It's wonderful, wonderful just being on the water.
And it allows you to see Mother Earth's beauty,
Yeah.
its purest natural form. And you never know what you're going to come across.
Yeah.
Just like in life,
Yeah.
it's it's just peace, harmony.
But you know what? And I never thought of it. Like you never know what you're going to come across. Just like the tides change, we
Ebb and
change,
flow, ebb and
and
flow.
and life changes, and now you're reborn every 12 hours. We're reborn, on the tide. So there's some deep stuff there, if you want to unpack it. Danielle, what was coming up for you when you were working with Brian? What were you energetically feeling?
Well, through the 3 years, when I first met him, he walked away, which I have that impact on people. If there's something there that really needs to work, it can stir up in that person. And just like us, if we get into a conflict or something we're not comfortable in, you can run from that so you don't have to feel it.
Mm,
But he came back and we talked, and I could feel on the soul level how loving and kind and compassionate he was. But I could also see some things that if he wanted to at some point or would seek it out, that could be assisted with. And we talked that day and made a connection. He had sent me a few places I could go hiking and fishing, and he scheduled a session shortly after.
Hmm.
mm,
And that first session was definitely an eye opener.
Yeah.
I think it was a little shocking for something so new. Um, but every session with him was just something so surprising. And the last session, it just completely blew me away.
mm.
Is it okay to share
Yeah.
a little bit?
Yeah.
Is it
Yes,
okay
yeah.
to share about the angel?
Hmm.
So in my sessions, I worked with the divine, and Archangel Michael came in to remove the stuff that he wanted removed. And when that happens, you usually get taken to a higher plane, which he did, because you don't want to feel that spiritual work being done by them, because it was a whole lot. But as Archangel Michael was removing, I could see him use his sword of light to open him and see it being pulled away. And that was the most I'd ever seen removed. And when it was removed, it was like fighting,
Yeah, I could,
struggling to
yeah,
stay with him.
I could feel it inside pulling.
And when he removed it, he came up off the table on that side as it was being pulled out. And he came back at that moment where he was feeling it pulled. And he was coming up off that side as it was being released, and he was brought back. And I heard a very distinct voice fighting for him and proclaiming he is mine, a divine
Wow.
voice.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I no idea, had no clue. And it's like I told her, I don't remember until I was sitting up on the end of the table, and Danielle was like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah," and immediately laid back down.
But I startled him because he didn't remember that I was there with him at that moment.
Um,
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
even,
Yep.
I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. You know what I'm surprised about? We're out of time. I just looked up. I'm like, how is that even possible? Um, and I'm going to share in it. And based on, things I've thought, I've heard, and what Danielle told me, um, I have this impact
Sorry,
on
I
people.
aspirated.
Oh gosh, only a nurse would say that. Um,
Yep, pretty much.
in the last week before I go to bed, and that's kind of where I like, if you want to call it meditate, I zone. I'm just like I deep think. I've asked my spirit guides to show up. Even asked for Michael. Present yourself, please, because I heard through you, you got to ask. They're not just going to jump in and help you out. Haven't gotten anything back yet. Although one time I did fall asleep, so could have got that message coming through, and I was sleeping. Um, but that's what I've heard, that you can call upon the spirit team around you and feel the presence when you need it.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Well, honestly, that's the only way I feel that I can communicate and open up about this. Because if it weren't for their assistance, I wouldn't share this with the average person.
Sure.
They would never understand.
I'm so glad you did today. And I understand. And yes, I was skeptical in the beginning, but when you see the journey and the progress you start making, and it's more to it than just in your head, there's more going on around us. Uh,
Well, when there's no actual touch, but yet you have physical pain when this occurs,
yeah.
there's no denying that. And that's the key. Is if you ever feel it once without the touch, like you with your meeting that far away, there's no denying what happens when you open yourself up.
Thank you for sharing today. Your story, Brian, has touched me in
Thank you.
many ways.
Thank
um,
you so much.
Thank you very much. Need those hoodies. So if you got, I want to buy them as gifts. I'm not even kidding.
It's the Valhalla Project on Facebook.
Writing it down.
TVP. T as in Taylor, V as in Victor, P as in Paul on Facebook. The Valhalla Project.
And
Give it
it's
to
a
me. Give it to
veteran project.
one more
It's
time. Give it to us one more time.
the Valhalla Project, or you can look it up on Facebook as TVP, Thomas Victor Paul, and it's ran by a veteran. And they, it's an amazing organization.
Wow.
And you have a chance to join with them in your community. If something in your community needs assistance, they will call upon you.
I'm in a men's group. Been there for about 7 weeks. I'm sorry, 7 months, and I want to buy those for the men in the group.
It's a whole series like You're Enough. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's everything.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on there. Uh, Danielle, you can be found hellofuturehealing.com.
Yes.
Hellofuturehealing.com. Um, I could just keep going, but I can't. Thank you so much for today. For me, learned a lot, validated a lot of things, and for others where this is new, and I guess I know it's woo woo. Um, I think open some eyes. So
Well, if
yeah,
she can take a country boy that was raised in the South and open his eyes to what there is,
yeah,
that should tell a lot of people. Open your mind and open your eyes.
yep. Doctor, my eyes. There's your doctor, or nurse, if you will. Both of you, thank you so much today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yep.
Thank you for the
Have
opportunity.
a wonderful day, everyone.
We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.